Hi, I'm Rochelle, and look, I have a Globus. And that is brilliant because I have a project where I'm trying to read one book from each country of the world. So I've put now a pin in each country of the world that I've read up until now, and I will continue to do that up until every country has a pin in it. And it made me think about all of the books I have read up until now and how weirdly I have read 8 books from Central America, yet only 7 from Africa. And I'm not picking the countries. I am using a Marble Factory Race video, one of their Marble Factory Race videos, so to have a form of random sort of pick of all of them. But I hadn't actually looked at all of the 30 countries I've read up until now until I was putting pins in them. But I wanted to now use this as an opportunity to talk about the books that I have read for this project so far. The first country I had on my list was Latvia. And for Latvia, I read Nora Ikstena's, and there are videos of each book if you want to watch them. And my main theme of what I talked about in my review of Nora Ikstena's book is how the Norwegian edition is called Mother's Milk. The literal translation of the Latvian is Mother's Milk. But if you're going to read the English translation of this book, it's called Soviet Milk. And that is such a bad translation. So this book is about a couple, so a mother and a daughter. The mother becomes mentally ill. They are living in Latvia during the Soviet Union, and the mother is depressed, and it's highly insinuated that she's depressed due to the communist regime of the Soviet Union. But when you're calling it Mother's Milk, I'm not going to go into that. That Mother's Milk is a better translation because you're keeping the duality of biological mother and motherland. I cannot go into that again. Watch the video if you want to know more about it. Watch the video if you want to know more about it. But a good book, talking about sort of depression, so be aware of that. My next country is Ethiopia, and for Ethiopian, and I apologize for the pronunciation of the authors in this video. There's going to be some bad pronunciations. They're better in the review videos. So next one was Hadis Almayu, Love Unto the Grave, which is one of the Ethiopian sort of national stories, and I can understand why. It's about 2 people who are fall in love with one another, but are from different stands, so they're from different classes, and therefore they can't really be together. So it's a very classic love story. And they were so cute together in the book. Because who doesn't love a good love story? Then I read for Afghanistan. And for Afghanistan, I read the Masnavi, book 2 by Rumi. And this is what a type of, these are a set of poems created by Rumi about a lot of different things, and they're so lush in their poetry. And therefore, it doesn't really matter if you're reading book 1 or book 2 or any of sort of the 6 books of the Masnavi. But I will recommend that you do not speed read through a book like this, that you should give them time. Read 1 or 2 of the poems before you go to bed. But this book especially has a lot of focus on, well, how do we interact with one another? How do we deal with one another? How can I be a good person when everyone around me is so annoying sometimes? For Tunisia, I read Tunisian Girl by Lina Ben-Meni. Lina Ben-Meni was a blogger during what is known as the Arabian Spring, which happened in around 2010. So around 2010, there were a lot of uprisings in different Arabic and African countries. And she, as a blogger, was documenting what was happening on the ground in situations where the sort of classic media wasn't allowed to talk about things that were actually happening. So she sort of illustrates with her blogs the introduction of social media as a form of journalism and the sort of rapid changes that has happened. And I thought that this was very interesting because I wasn't aware of how important these bloggers had been for documenting what was happening during these uprisings. So, next one is for Guatemala, and I read The President by Miguel Angel Asturias. This is an example of presidential or dictatorship genre that was fairly popular in Central and South America, which was a genre that developed as a counter reaction to all of the dictatorships that the continent was struggling with. In addition to that, Miguel Angel Asturias has very much been inspired, I think he's probably been inspired, I do not know, about absurdism when writing it, because he's using a lot of symbolism in these books. He's using a lot of weird imagery that I don't really know well what is actually happening and what is not actually happening. And it's something different, though probably adjacent to magical realism. You can probably say that this book also has been inspired by magical realism, but there's something more than really what you think just with magical realism, because it's also almost symbolic in his use, more than just making the difference between what is true and what's not true. I'm explaining it weird, and I'm sad that I'm explaining this weird because this is such a brilliant book. So just read the book and tell me how you would have described this. The next country I read from was Wales, and I read Kate Roberts' Feet in Chains. This book was originally written in Welsh and then translated into English. And that is very much what the book is about. It's about a poor Welsh farming family and a very, very brilliant boy that is sort of a part of this family. and everyone not really knowing how do we deal with this very, very brilliant boy, and wanting him to be sent to school, wanting him to become something. But how can you do that when, number one, they're very poor, and number two, he's Welsh and speaks Welsh and is in some ways treated as a second-class citizen in his own country. The next territory, it's not a country, it's a territory that I read from. And it is such a cute story. So this is from British Virgin Islands. It's by Jenny Wheatley, who has collected and written down some of the traditional stories from British Virgin Islands. And these are centered around a boy called Boise. And when I first talked about this, I compared Boise with Emil i Lönneberga by Astrid Lindgren, which is a Swedish author, and talking about how 12-year-old boys will be 12-year-old boys no matter where they are. And talking about how sort of fun illustrations there are in this book. And what was so amazing is that very shortly after that video was published, I got a comment on that video from her grandchild, who told me that Jenny Wheatley sadly had just passed away, but how wonderful she thought it was that someone was talking about the work that her grandmother has done, which wasn't really something I was prepared for. I just want to read cool books from around the world, and having someone commenting that this is wonderful to see that my grandmother's work. Yeah. I'm getting I cried when I read the comment, and I'm not going to cry now because I have too much to do in this video. But I absolutely can recommend this collection of. They are in essence a collection of short stories, even if all of them are centered around Boise, and that is the same character. And the next country I read from was Turkmenistan, Akvel Sapar, The Tale of Aipi. And this is about a ghost that starts haunting a very poor fishing town when the fishing town is, and this is when Turkmenistan was a part of the Soviet Union, when this fishing town was told that they are going to move everyone in this fishing town. And some are very pro that, and some are not so pro that. And what I love this book. Just watch my video where so many. I don't usually annotate my non-fiction books because I annotate so much for my work, but I really sort of had to pick this book apart because it's such lovely. And what I think is fun is that every time I've talked about this book, people ask me if I'm doing a project of reading one book from each country of the world, because this is the book from Turkmenistan, apparently. For Nepal, I read Karnali Blues by Buddhi Shagar, and this is a book about the dynamic between a father and son. The son is now grown, and he is looking at his father, who is ill, probably dying. And we're going through the history and what happened with the father as a young boy, and this son's history, growing up from a young boy to a man, and pretty much just the dynamic of, well, I'm now growing and my father is now dying, and I now have to face my own mortality. For Iceland, I wanted really much to read something for Halldór Kielland Laxness, which is probably one of the most famous authors from Iceland, which says something because Iceland has a lot of authors, because they, up until surprisingly recently, had the law that says that you were not allowed to watch television on Wednesday, because all of the country just wanted one day off from television. So a lot of them have written books. But Laxness is the one who's won the Nobel Prize. And I read Salka Valka, which is about a young girl who is quite poor, and how she is trying to just survive in a very poor, small village in Iceland, which is not Reykjavik. There is actually cities in Iceland that is not Reykjavik. I did not know that, but apparently they are. For Gambia, I read Reading the Ceiling by Dio Forster. And I love these kinds of books. So this is about a young girl who wants to find a man that she is going to have sex with on her 18th birthday. And then we get 3 different sort of examples and 3 different stories based on if she picks this guy or this guy or this guy to have sex with. And what I actually enjoyed a lot about the book is both how different the different outcomes are, but in realistic ways, but also how similar they are. So the main character doesn't change personality. She is, in lack of a better term, quite pessimistic at times. And this is something that doesn't really change based on who she has sex with. And I like that detail, because I don't think who you have sex with will change whether, in fact, you are a pessimist or an optimist, or a realist or pragmatic, or whatever is going to happen with you. Then for Myanmar, I read the poetry book Bamboo Phobia by Kokofet. These poems are quite dark at times, and is a form of reflection of a very, very tumultuous history in Myanmar. So Myanmar has seen some stuff, and especially the people in Myanmar have seen some stuff. And this is very much one man's therapy. But I also liked it because of that, because that is one of the strengths with literature. As one guy's therapy can become your therapy. They write it, you read it. But be aware, dark poems ahead. And then I read for Italy, and I didn't choose, my husband chose Foucault's Pendulum. I just said, we have so many books by Umberto Eco, pick one, and I'll read that one. And honestly, the fact that this hasn't turned into a Netflix series is beyond me. This book is about some men who decide to create a conspiracy theory, a fake conspiracy theory. And then it goes so way out of hand because conspiracy theories have a tendency to do that. And why is this not Netflix series? It's written like it's like asking you to turn it into a Netflix series. So yeah, conspiracy theories gone wrong. Wonderful book, such a wonderful book. This might be again. I have a handful of books that I maybe my favorites up until now, and this is also one of them. Then I read for Cayman Islands, and I read The Confession of Franny Langton by Sarah Collins. And this is about a former slave who is accused of killing her owner. And it talks a lot about her history, how she grew up in the Caribbean, how she was taken to the UK, what she is willing to do, what she's not willing to do, the consequences of that. And what I liked a lot is Franny Langton as a character, because she is more than just a blank slate victim in this. She is very much an active character. She does bad stuff while bad stuff is happening to her. Yes, she is a slave. Yes, she has bad stuff happening to her. And we do feel a lot of empathy towards her because of that. But she is also a human character with flaws. And she is allowed to be human. And I love books that gives women the right to be human and isn't either all good or all bad. Weirdly, that is such a unique trait. For Laos, I read Mother's Beloved, Stories from Laos by Uthine Bjornyevang. And I apologize. I know I pronounced that name wrong. I have the more or less correct pronunciation in my video. I took time to get that pronunciation right. But this is a collection of short stories written in Laos. Is again, as with Myanmar, there are some countries that just have so fascinating histories that we don't really know about, and Laos is another example of that. And what I really enjoyed with especially this edition is that you have a preface, and you have Peter Corrett, who wrote an essay about Lao literature that painted a story and an explanation of how Laos changing hands that they did throughout their history, having sort of being a colony for different countries, being also communist at some point, and how that influenced what authors were allowed to or not allowed to write about. Uthine very much wrote during a communist perspective or a communist way of living. I wouldn't go so far as say that Uthine does communist propaganda, but it's more that he is writing in a system that puts limits on what he is allowed and not allowed to say and do. And yet he is, through his writing, trying to protect, in a sense, something of Laos' cultural history and cultural identity without being censored by the Laos regime at the time. Then for Scotland, I read The House with the Green Shutters by George Douglas Brown. And this is a book about class. It's a book about villages that is dying, and sort of villages, not villagers, but villages. The town that is dying, not the people in the town that is dying. I don't know why I keep messing those two words up right now. And about how things are changing, whether you want them to or not. Then for Saint Kitts and Nevis, we have Only God Can Make a Tree by Bertram Roach. This is about a guy who is mixed. He is a product of an Irish immigrant and a Black Caribbean woman, and he therefore becomes quite light-skinned. And because of that, he is given opportunities in his country, but at the same time being limited because he is Black, even if he is light-skinned. And the fact that he is sort of constantly in flux between these two extremes of how he is treated by society forms the way that he understands the world, and forms the way that he moves in the world in a very, interesting way, because you can so clearly see how he is both a product of his culture, but also someone who then influences society around him again. So it's not just a sort of a passive product, but he influences what happens next because of the things that happened before him. So you can sort of see the push-pull of the individual and the society. Then for Nauru, I got this book, which is indigenous literature from Micronesia. And when they are talking about Micronesia here, there are two ways of understanding Micronesia. It is the nation of Micronesia, which is sort of the federal state or federal nation of Micronesia. But Micronesia is also a collective term for several both countries and territories in this area of the world. And I'm just going to see, because I think, yes, so here you have sort of the map that shows the federal state of Micronesia, but also Micronesia as a collective. So in this book, you have Nauru, Kiribati, Marshall Islands, Micronesian, Guam, and Palau. So I've read the text from Nauru in this book. And one of the things I really liked with that is that there are so many different voices and different purposes with this with the texts from Nauru. Then I read for Sri Lanka, and for this one I had, and again, I'm going to pronounce this name wrong, and I apologize, Thisuri Vanarachiti. This is Colombo Street, and I don't know how to feel about this book. I'm going back and forth very much on what can I say, what can I not say, is this a good book or not? This book was written by a child. I think she was 15, more or less. I think about 15 when she got this book published, and it became a bestseller overnight. And I think because it became a bestseller, it was also highly regarded. So it won a lot of prizes because everyone was impressed that a 15-year-old had published a book. Even if this 15-year-old does come from quite a privileged background in Sri Lanka. But at the same time, I think that might be a bit not taking the book as seriously as you should. Because there is something interesting with what she did with this book. And I think what she did was that she tapped into a zeitgeist where you as a teenager is living in a country that is getting attacked by terrorist groups. Your people are dying because of these terrorist groups. And there are the society is very on edge, and nothing bad is happening to you specifically. Your cousin has someone who goes and joins the terrorist group. Your brother is the one who's lost people in his class because of all of the things that are happening at the time. So you aren't experiencing anything. You're just living in a culture where a lot of bad things are happening. And you know a lot of people who've had bad stuff happen to them. And that zeitgeist, the fact that you're not the one who's hurt, but the fact that you're not the one who's hurt does something weird with you, is what I think she taps into with this book. The disgruntledness of being unsatisfied, being scared, but not actually being harmed or hurt directly. And that making everything worse. And I think a lot of people can recognize that as annoying, as something that bothers you, that makes your skin crawl. And that is what she taps in, I think, because it's not a well-written book. She's 15, of course it's not a well-written book. But there is something that she taps in, and I don't know if I like it or not. And maybe that's not the point. Maybe the point is that I just should respect that this is an emotion that a lot of people face. And that they felt good being seen. Then for Aruba, I chose to read poems by Nadia Ekure. Wonderful, wonderful poems. I mean, she is known as a brilliant author for a reason. And then for Mozambique, I read Neighbors, The Story of a Murder. And we are following a couple of families. And we don't really know why we are following all of these families. And then slowly it's revealed that one of the groups that we are following is in fact a terrorist group. And I'm not going to say what happens, even though you probably already know what's going to happen based on that. But Lilian Montplair wrote about sort of neighbors in the sense that there were a lot of terrorist groups coming from South Africa and terrorized Mozambique for different reasons. I'm not going to go into that history because I don't know enough about that history to make it justice, but you can look into this. But Lilian Montplair, very much when she's talking about neighbors, she's talking about South Africa, wasn't really being a good neighbor because they weren't really doing anything about these terrorist groups. And what I enjoyed about her book is that there are no stock characters. Even the book is quite short. I don't really feel like there's characters. Even the terrorist group, they're real people. You don't necessarily agree with them, but they're real people. And you have to take them seriously. Then I read for Micronesia, and again I read from this book. This book has, I'm just going to very shortly. One of the things I actually liked from, so everything in purple is texts from an author from Micronesia. And one of the things that, for example, I read was the Constitution of Micronesia. And I've not really read the Constitution of a different country than my own. I've never really needed to. But one of the things that I found, well, when I say funny, I mean it as interesting and enjoyable to learn, not haha, that's a joke funny. One of the things I found funny when reading this Constitution is how they are pointing out that we are a collection of islands, we are a collection of cultures, and being Micronesian means that we are different from one another, which is such a different take from what I'm used to, not necessarily in, again, constitutions, because I haven't read that, but I've read a lot about, for example, cultural history. And when it comes to cultural history and nations, very often the focus have been, well, how are we similar? Instead of saying that part of being in this culture and nation means that we are, in essence, dissimilar. Then I read for Cameroon, I read Then I read for Cameroon, I read Houseboy by Ferdinand Oyano. And this is about Tunde. Tunde works as houseboy, so he works as a slave. And how he deals with the systemic discrimination that he as a slave faces in Cameroon at this time, because Cameroon at this time was a colony. So it's a very well written sort of analysis of how power imbalance influences everyone in the relationship that you have. So having a power imbalance doesn't just impact him as someone who is a slave, but also impacts his white slave owners. For Honduras, I read 13 Colors of the Resistance of Honduras by Melissa Cordazo. And these are, Melissa Cordazo is a journalist. So this is, I want to say nonfiction. I'm going to very carefully say that it is nonfiction, that she has done, what she's done is create portraits, so journalistic portraits. So she's taking 13 female characters, female voices that was sort of present during this resistance that they were doing at this time. Which was There are so many books and so many dates and so much history to keep I'm just very, very quickly trying to remember what was happening in Honduras at this time. Yeah, it was a reaction to the 2009 coup d'etat. So after the coup d'etat, they were protesting, and these are 13 portraits based on characters at this time. Then we are at Belize, and again, probably one of my favorite books from this. And this book is actually from Belize. We contacted the printing press in Belize and ordered books. So they came, and I don't know why that makes me so happy, but there's something about knowing this has traveled halfway around the world. And from an environmental standpoint, bad. But from a human standpoint, knowing that there are people on the other side of the world that I'm communicating with makes me happy, in a weird sense. This is Benji by Cathy Esquivel, and Benji is mentally ill. We are halfway through the book before we know how he is mentally ill, but I'm going to spoil it because it doesn't really matter. And if you know, you very much will quickly get to the fact that he is schizophrenic. He has visual and auditive hallucinations, and he managed to live because of his family's help and generosity. And he is witness to a murder by a gang. And just that concept it's such a brilliant concept. Please agree with me that you think that a schizophrenic who very regularly has visual and auditive hallucinations is witness to a murder, that please confirm that is a brilliant concept for me in the comments, if nothing else. Because of course, both him and everyone else starts questioning, what did he actually see? Or not necessarily what he saw, but what of what he saw was real. Because there is a gang, and there are drugs, and you have poor Benji trying to just survive in a time and place where that is difficult enough if you don't have a mental illness. Then we have Puerto Rico, and I read In Poem of Darkness by Mera Montero. And this is about a researcher who travels to Haiti to find a frog. This is the frog. And weird stuff is happening. There are lots of drugs involved. But it's not the good drugs. It's not, oh, we're going to have a ride. It's more how everything is falling apart due to tourism, due to poverty, due to, how is certain countries created, in a sense. And when I mean created, I don't mean the country in itself, but more understood, and therefore the discourse around the country created. There is a interesting scene in the book about a white woman who is a tourist who comes to Haiti and loses her mind, either figuratively or literally, we're not really sure, because the land is magical. But she doesn't really understand what is happening to everyone else. So there is so many connections that is going on between very much on how certain themes intersect with one another. Modern research and tribal medicine, being indigenous and being a tourist, the modern, especially modern and traditional in general, male and female. So it's very much a book about contrasts and weird stuff happening. Then I have for Liberia, Voice of the Trumpetess by May Azango. I didn't know it when I bought it, but this is very much, I don't even want to say it's an autobiography. It is an autobiography, but it's more a celebrity memoir than I'm now going to do a critical analysis of my own background and how that background has shaped me and how it has shaped the country I'm living in. She writes well. She is a journalist, so she knows how to communicate. And a lot of the things that she talks about is interesting if you don't know a lot about Liberia and Liberian culture and Liberian history. For example, the war in Liberia that she talks about because, well, it influenced her a lot. I didn't know the history of Liberia in the sense that Liberia was created as a country due to African Americans wanting an African country they could call their own, except the fact that there were already Africans living in this area of space, and therefore it became quite a lot of conflicts between the Africans that were already living there and the African Americans, which then resulted in this war. And I would have wished that she had been a bit more critical for this. She very much just presents it. This is what has happened. I think that I would have wanted something more from this. I would have wanted her to then reflect on she is a descendant of the African Americans. They have had different opportunities than the Africans that lived there before Liberia became a country. But she's not really interested in this. She does reflect a bit about the gender conflict within Liberian culture, how women are viewed or not taken care of or not viewed, in lack of a better term. And this is probably where I think the book is at its best. So it's clearly that this is what she is, this is what she is important to her, how the gender roles in her community. But I probably wouldn't have read it unless it was sort of a book that I just found from a Liberian author. And then we are in Suriname, and The Cost of Sugar by Cynthia McLeod. Cynthia McLeod, Suriname is a former Dutch colony, and we are smack dab in the middle of history when Suriname was still a Dutch colony. We are following especially Sarif. This is a major motion picture cover. You take what you can get. So Sarif is very much the main character of this story. And she is the daughter of a plantation owner. And she is such a wonderful villain character. She just loves life and doesn't care about anyone, because why does she have to? She's a rich white woman. and the things that are described in the book is horrible, but she is such a wonderful villain character that you are just enjoying everything going bad that is happening to her. Yeah. Then we are in Madagascar, beyond the rice fields. This is a story of a black slave and the black slave owner that was gifted this black slave so she could have a friend. And then the two of them very much fall in love with one another. But it's weird because he is technically a slave. So it says something about... I read this about the same time when we were talking about the Wuthering Heights movie that came out. And it made me think about how universal the story of falling in love when one of you is poor and one of you is rich, and how that seems to be a problem a lot of the time. Probably it points to, well, class. While we're not really saying that class is cemented today, despite it very much being cemented today, how many people do you know that isn't part of the same class background that you are? But in most cultures and throughout most of history, class has been very much, this is who you are. You cannot change it, and you stick to your own. But they're so cute together. They're very... I'm a bit surprised because I don't really see myself as someone who is focused a lot on love stories. That is something that I've been drawn to. But again, there are so many cute love stories in this world. And lastly, book number 30 in this project so far is For Bulgaria, 9 Rabbits by Virginia Zahareeva. And this is a book that is divided in two. It tells the story of the same character as a child and as an adult. And it comments on the changes that were happening in Bulgaria due to communism, and them being a communistic country and then no longer being a communistic country. And what I really liked about the book is that the book has all of these recipes throughout the story, that there is sort of just a short interlude between. So, apple tart. Prepare a crumbly dough from 1.5 cups of flour, 1 stick of melted butter, a pinch of salt, and a tablespoon of water. So randomly throughout the book, you have these recipes and cooking is a very important symbol within the book, mainly as what is expected of her as a woman. But it's not really commented on in sense of gender disparity, more just when a country like Bulgaria goes through the changes that it has, it does something with what is expected of me. A country that is communist will have different expectations to you as an individual than a country that is capitalistic. And using recipes, using cooking as a way of talking about what is expected of me, of the culture around me, I thought was quite fun and innovative. So those are the 30 books that I have read, and I have now given all of them a needle throughout the world. And hopefully I'm now going to pick my next 5 reads. So let's do that. And again, we now have my lovely husband. Say hi, lovely husband.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
And I started with watching Marble Factory Race. They have a video where they have 216 countries and territories that are racing through a marble race. And I am choosing the countries in backwards order, losing order. And I'm picking them 5 at a time because some of them might be more difficult to get a book from. Sometimes you need to buy a book from Belize and wait for them to arrive from Belize, which is one of my favorite books that I have. I have a book from Belize. I don't know why that's so thrilling. Anyway, over to this. So, what we're going to do now, for those who haven't watched my similar videos, is that my husband is going to watch the next 5 races of Marble Factory, and then he is going to describe the flag to me, and I am going to guess badly which countries I'm going to read from. So now, lovely husband, you can watch the next leg of the race.
Okay.
And I am not going to watch it. And I am just trying to now ignore that he has this on his screen because I do not want to cheat. Because, well, where would the fun be in that? Yes, I am a bit stressed due to the fact that I'm trying to memorize all of the flags. That's one of the reasons why I am doing this. But again, it's not really something that is just fun. Because, of course, I'm not that good at all the flags. That's not sort of what my channel is about.
It's not about fun.
It's about pain and suffering.
We have a winner.
Yay! I am now removing. I am trusting you to not show me anything that could give it away. Not that I necessarily know it if I had seen it. But there you go. Now, what can you describe the flag for me?
I'll try my very best.
Yes.
This is a flag with 3 colors and a cross in the middle. The 3 colors are green, black, and yellow. It's not a Scandinavian cross.
Is the cross in the middle or in the corner?
In the corners.
Okay, so it's Togo?
No, it's not Togo.
Oh. So it's a cross. It's what colors is the cross?
The cross is yellow.
The cross is yellow.
And the north and south triangles
Yeah.
are green. And the east and west, or the left and right, are black. It's mostly green.
It's mostly green.
Those areas are the largest.
Yes.
And the cross is yellow.
Cross is yellow.
And it's also a secondary color, which is black, which are for the triangles on the shorter sides.
So, is it like a Christian cross?
No.
Or is it an X?
It's an X.
So it's Jamaica?
Yes,
Yes.
it's Jamaica. Congratulations.
Thank you. I actually got one.
Yes.
I'm so impressed with myself. So you're watching the next video?
I'll start it.
Yeah. Because that is one of the things that have fascinated me when now trying to work out all of.
This will be over quickly.
Okay, just let me know.
Sure.
Yeah. So one of the things that fascinated me now with the flags is that, for example, something like the cross, there are so many specific crosses that you can have. That have specific names, like the Scandinavian cross, or an X, like in Jamaica, or you have the Malta cross, or the Swiss cross. You're done already?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
I didn't want to distract you.
Or interrupt me.
Yeah.
You're always distracting me because you're so hot.
No.
Okay, next flag.
Yes. The next flag is also tricolored,
Okay.
but horizontally striped.
Okay.
The three colors are red,
Okay.
white,
Yeah.
and green. The top stripe is red, the middle stripe is white, and the bottom stripe is green.
Oh.
It's a sort of drab green.
Are we talking Hungary?
Yes, we are.
Because I can sometimes get Bulgaria and Hungary mixed up
Yeah.
because they are the same colors, but we've already had Bulgaria.
Yes.
So I just simply guessed it had to be Hungary based on that one.
Yes.
So you're going to see the next one? Yeah.
Starting next one now.
Yeah. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do Marble Factory. And I talk about this in all of my sort of which countries am I going to do now videos. But one of the reasons is that they have some territories included, which can be quite fun. I have read for Cayman Islands, British Virgin Islands. So you sort of get a few more countries in the mix.
The next one is ready.
The next one is ready?
Yes.
Yeah. But in addition to that, you also have sort of this mixture of not always European, not always African. You sort of get from, well, Jamaica and Bulgaria, Hungary. Yeah, Jamaica and Hungary are pretty much on quite opposite sides of the world.
Yep.
And the next one.
Yes. It's another flag, which is striped.
Okay.
Horizontally striped.
Yeah.
I think it is 9 stripes.
Ooh.
And the flag is mostly white and blue.
Yes.
White and blue striped.
Yeah.
And there's also a yellow sun in the top left corner.
Is it Uruguay?
Yes, it is.
So you've started the next video?
Not, but I will do it right now.
Okay. So we have Caribbean, European, South American. I'm trying to think that I think this is actually the first South American country that I had, because we've had, so everything else is sort of north of Panama.
Yeah.
So that's good. It's there are not a lot of countries in South America, but it's good to have them also in the running for this. And Uruguay, I've read one book from Uruguay, which I did for my Women in Translation project. So it's going to be a fun country to get some new authors from.
Next one is ready.
Okay.
Next flag is also 3 colors,
Okay.
horizontally striped. Top color is blue, lighter blue. Middle stripe is black. Bottom stripe is white.
Estonia?
Yes, it is. It's
Brilliant.
Estonia.
Brilliant. I started with Latvia, so it was about time we got Estonia on it. And so you've started next.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we sort of have, this is going to be the last one with Jamaica, Hungary, Uruguay,
And Estonia.
Estonia. So this is the last one, which will then give us 5, the next 5 countries. But Estonia is probably going to be simple to get something exciting from.
Yep.
Even if I haven't read that many books from Estonia.
This one takes a bit longer.
Okay. Then I'll just fill in the time like the professional entertainer that I am. And that's a bit weird, thinking of the fact that what I'm actually doing now, in addition to trying to better myself, is also to entertain.
But it's ready right now.
It's ready right now.
It's ready right now.
So, the last country, the last flag, yes.
I think this will be a bit harder.
Don't say that. I thought I was doing so well.
You still might do well.
Okay.
This is also a flag with 3 colors.
Okay.
It's vertically striped this time.
Okay.
And the left stripe
Yeah.
is green. The middle stripe is yellow. And the right stripe is red.
Yeah. I understand now why you said it was probably going to be a bit more difficult, because with the exception of Bolivia, there is an area in Africa that has a lot of similar colors. And I have sadly not all of them under control. So I can only apologize beforehand for the madness that I'm now going to try to do. I want to start with Mali.
That is correct. You did well.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for just breaking out in laughter. I was so sure that this was going to go badly when I realized the 3 colors. I'm going to memorize them. I'm going to get a handle on them. I promise. But I'm also so glad we got an African country in the mix.
It's quite diverse countries this time.
Yeah. So those are the 5 countries. We have Jamaica, Hungary, Estonia.
Yes. Uruguay.
Uruguay and Mali. And I am not going to tell you what books I'm going to read from it, because I've done that in the past. And sadly, some of the books have ended up being meh. They're just okay. They're not good. They're not bad. They're just meh. And I don't like talking about books I think are just meh. I think it's fun to talk about books I love. I enjoy talking about books that I dislike to sort of figure out why I dislike something, but I don't really like to talk about books that are meh. So I'm now going to read books from these countries until I find a book that I find worthwhile to talk about. So if you have any recommendations for books by authors from these countries, please leave a comment down below. And everyone say thank you to my husband for being such a good sport. And thank you for listening to me screaming into the void.
So long.